Spencer Keepers. I'm the founder of Keepers Concealment, and I have been a training junkie for a long time now. I've trained with, the proverbial who's who of the firearms training world, and this class is going to be kind of my specialty, appendix carry theory. I do a class called appendix skills and advanced appendix as well. So I was introduced to appendix carry by the late Todd Lewis Green back in about 2010 at this event, the Rangemaster Tactical Conference. And I looked at Todd and, I uttered the words that most people utter when they first are introduced to appendix is, "Are you nuts? Do you know where that gun is pointed?" Right? Because I was that guy. What I did do though is I watched how easy it was for Todd to get to his gun throughout a weekend of living life, right? We shot the match, we attended training conferences, lectures just like this, we went out to eat, etc. And I realized that Todd could get to his gun far easier in most situations than I could get to mine. So I came home from that event. I took a leather belt, a cleared Glock 35, because that was my gun of choice back then. I took a old leather holster, duct tape, foam, and a 12 gauge shotgun shell, and I made my first holster. Okay, there was a lot of Southern ingenuity in that, right? But it was actually functional. The first thing I did was put the belt on and realized I needed to raise the waist height of my pants to make this work. So I accomplished that, and I realized I could set down with it, which is the first question most people ask, about appendix is how do you set down with that? Well, interestingly enough, everybody knows I'm carrying a Langdon Tactical Elite Beretta 92. This has been converted with the Cool Fire Trainer, which I will demo as we go through this. So this is a inert training tool, right? From those of you that are from Arkansas, that means it will not hurt you. Interestingly enough, I live in Oklahoma, so we pick on Arkansas, but Arkansas picks on us back, so, it's fair game. But that's a fairly large gun, right? That's a 5-inch full-size gun, properly adjusted holster. You can just sit down, right? So I figured that out. Then I figured out how to literally make the gun disappear under a piece of Under Armour, right? What it needed to accomplish that. From there, I started building holsters for myself because at that point in time, the wait was literally over a year for the two manufacturers that made appendix holsters specific for appendix back then. And, I didn't know a year from then which gun I would be carrying. So Keepers Concealment was born out of the need for at least me to have a holster. And then that led to my buddies wanting a holster, and then that led to a website, and we're now one of the more respected, especially appendix specific holster companies on the market today. So what I'd like to do is go through and talk about concealment theory, and then talk a little bit about how to carry appendix safely. And I've got a bunch of holsters to demo, and I'll talk about some of the features on each holster that makes that holster work, okay? I wrote down a little bit of a list. I had a little bit of a PowerPoint started for this, and I left my laptop at the house because I hardly ever take a laptop anywhere. So, but these are just some of the items that make appendix work or not work for an individual, right? The way I like to describe this is appendix carry will turn into an equation, similar to a mathematical equation, right? There are a lot of different factors that go into making different body types be able to carry appendix. Some of those factors are body type, body shape, the holster ride height, the holster cant, the holster length, the holster width, where it sets a clock on the belt, the belt tension. Belt tension is huge, and I'll demo that. Pant fit, pant waist height, shirt fit, and shirt length. Those are just some, not all, but some of the parts of the equation that go into whether appendix will work for you or not. Now, for most people, it's really easy. They buy an appendix holster, they put it on, boom, and it works, right? So let's talk a little bit about those things. One of the first things, as I said, that I had to do was I had to get a higher waisted pants, right? So if you're wearing a very low waisted pants, you may not have enough room for the gun to be there. And that was kind of where I was. And this is one of those things where 1/8 of an inch may literally be a mile. And what I found out was higher waisted pants gave me more room, so that way I could carry a longer holster or a longer gun, full-size gun. And the thing that is not intuitive about that is everybody thinks, well, if I'm going to carry it concealed, I need a short gun. I need a small gun to carry it concealed. Well, the problem with that comes in the fact that if you get a very short gun, especially with a short holster, you put it on your belt line, you actually have more gun above the belt line than you do below the belt line. And everything is hinged on the belt, okay? So if there's less gun below the belt line, you'll have pressure pushing the gun out. Well, that pressure turns into pressure at the end of the muzzle, pushing the gun in, and that turns into a real hot spot and makes it very uncomfortable to carry a short gun. Well, if you have a longer gun, you have more surface area below the belt line, but you have about the same amount of pressure on top of the gun. So now you've spread that pressure out over a greater surface area, and it makes it much more comfortable, right? So for appendix, longer is better, right up to the point that it's too long. Now, there are some folks that's not true. Typically, women because all women want to look nice, right? So they all wear, or not all of them, but some of them wear very low-waisted pants, my wife included. So for her, a long holster won't work. And that's common, very common with women. So we make a short errand on request for those folks, okay? So that may be a case for some women and some smaller waisted guys, or guys that just like to wear low waisted pants. From there, let's talk about the holster ride height and cant. And what I mean by that is how high the holster lies on the belt line, right? So this is our keeper, it's our flagship holster. This is for a Glock 34-35. This is a CERT training tool. They call it a pistol. It is not. The slide does not move. I cannot show you it is clear. Again, this is a NERT training tool. But what we're looking at in holster ride height and cant is how high or low you want the holster to ride off the belt line and the amount of cant that you want on the holster. So the way I like to kind of set mine up, and I think is most beneficial for most people, is to have the gun set just high enough off the top of the belt line, pant line, that you can get 3 fingers underneath the grip of the gun. A lot of appendix holsters on the market today will set the gun so low on the waistline that you can't get a hold of the gun, right? You can't get a hold of the gun, you can't draw it quickly. And I am a huge proponent of being able to draw the gun quickly, okay? It literally is a game changer in certain situations. So that's one aspect of it, and having adjustability to adjust that, well, every body type is different. Everybody is built on an oval, and there are no 2 ovals the same. I've spent a little bit of time in my career with the government in a machine shop, and one of the things you quickly learn there is you can make parts that are alike, but there are no 2 of them the same. They may be really, really close within, maybe a few 10,000ths of an inch, but when you get right down to it, they're not the same, and human bodies are that way. There are no 2 alike. They may be similar, but there's no 2 alike. So being able to adjust the ride height is huge. Being able to adjust the cant is another real factor, because the reason the cant is so important is the gun needs to fit between the crease in the leg and the important parts in the middle. That space, my doctor friend told me what that was, and it's the Glenfold fold or something like that. I forget now. But that space is where the gun needs to set. Or it needs to set far enough above that doesn't become an issue, right? So that is why adjustable cant is a big deal. Because if you can think about this real quick, if this was how you had it set up, and you're carrying it, right about 1230, and let's say the muzzle of the gun here was touching the crease of your leg, right? Well, you may not have enough space to move it a clock this way without running into the important parts in the middle, but you can actually change the cant. Small changes here, and that's just a few degrees, make a huge difference of moving that off the inside of the leg, right? So that is one of the benefits of adjustable cant. The other benefit is, if there's such a thing as an advanced technique, it is taking and slapping the gun this way to get a grip on it, okay? People will call this the claw grip. I call it a slap grip. It's the exact same thing. Instead of driving my hand down and getting a full firing grip on the gun with my thumb behind it, I'm simply slapping the gun and I'm getting almost a full grip, but my thumb rides on top of the slide or on the hammer of this Beretta. As the gun comes out, I will roll my thumb over and get a full grip on it. Interestingly enough, your hand wants the gun to be in a specific spot. Being able to adjust the cant on the holster will allow you to put the gun in that spot.